So one of my trail cameras went missing.
It was right there, right on that tree right behind me. I'd set it up there back in July, and a couple of weeks after I set it up, I went to go check it. Like, it was right attached right there, and it was gone. And on one level, I was just really angry about it because, like, this farm is just my wife and me, and so there shouldn't really be other folks accessing this land. If the trail camera was missing, that probably meant that somebody came here and took it. And as you guys are probably well aware of the fact that we've had issues in the past with folks accessing our land and not wanting to have them here, and fights with hound hunters and people trying to burn down our barn. Like, there's been a lot of drama that we've had over the years related to this stuff. And I even had a couple of years back a trail camera have its SD card stolen, and I know for a fact that somebody had to have gone in there and taken it out. And so just for that reason alone, when this trail camera went missing, it was a real thorn in my side. But to make matters worse, I'd really hit a major low point on the farm that day that I set up the trail camera. You see, because the day that I set that trail camera up was actually the day that I went to bury this dead calf that we had pass away on the farm this summer. I told a whole story about it and what happened. You can watch that video when you got the time. You know, I had this dead calf. I set it out not too far from here, and I wanted to just kind of observe and see what sort of scavengers and like how nature takes its course with a dead animal like that. And so that is actually why I had set the trail camera up in the first place. And so the fact that I had actually even lost that footage and wasn't going to be able to get that question answered for me, just, I don't know, from a sense of scientific curiosity, that was a disappointment as well. And I don't know, I didn't have too much I could do about it, right? Like, I felt like if I started posting about it and talking about it being stolen, that the people who stole it had a good chance of knowing that they were getting to me, and maybe they'd start trying to steal more trail cameras, because I have, I don't know, probably 20 trail cameras scattered around this farm at this point. And so admittedly, I just kind of kept my mouth shut and went about my life and just assumed that I wasn't gonna get that trail camera back, and hopefully it was just a one-time issue, and I wasn't gonna have bigger, more frequent, ongoing issues. And I don't know, I just basically accepted it for what it was. But then we had a breakthrough in the case. And that breakthrough happened the other week when I came out here to bury some more dead. You see, because a few weeks ago, we did the butchering of our birds that we do every year. And when that happens, you're always left over with a whole bunch of like intestines and some bird heads and feathers and just junk that you don't want around the farm because it'll attract the wrong types of animals, but also stuff you need to get rid of. And so typically what I'll do is I'll just make a big old dump pile. Now, approximately 2 weeks later, this is what we're left with, as you can see it right here. There is a whole bunch of feathers right here. And then, actually, this is kind of interesting. You can see it here. This is a goose skull. So you can see, like, this is what a goose skull looks like without its flesh. You can actually see how they have like these teeth? That's kind of interesting, right? I'm sorry if I'm grossing some of you guys out. I actually kind of find it fascinating. But yes, those goose skulls and, you know, intestines, like all the intestines are clearly gone and the skulls are gone. Most of the skulls are gone because I assume just various sorts of scavengers come. And so much like I did with that missing trail camera, I actually set up trail cameras like this one right here. I'm curious. Let's actually take a quick look and see who came through here and who were the scavengers. So yes, that's the type of thing that happens when people aren't watching directly and you just let nature take its course. I bet you guys wouldn't have thought that scavenger birds play a significant role in helping deal with death and decay and decomposition here on the farm ecosystem, but they most certainly do. And that's why birds like the turkey vulture and the crow and the raven, like those are really important critters because they help break down piles like this. I'm actually gonna add a fresh SD card here and we'll continue to watch this pile and see what comes of it in the next few weeks. So you guys will get the chance to check in again very soon on this one. Honestly, if you have any sort of land whatsoever, I strongly recommend that you get a trail camera. It's so much fun. Like, forget about the value that they provide you in terms of security and like the aid that they can be if you're out there hunting. One of the most incredible things about the trail camera is it just lets you watch the animals on your land, and it helps you get to know your land in a much better way. I mean, even if you have like a half-acre backyard, and especially if you have like kids, there is no better way that you could spend like, I don't know, $75, $100 and like have something that you and your family can like experience and enjoy. So I'll leave some links for them down below of ones that I like. I've probably tried out 20 different brands. I don't actually like this brand right here. I'm not even gonna mention them, so I don't, well, I guess I will. Ape Man. This one is very unreliable and glitchy, but since I bought it, I use it. But yes, especially if you're not gonna have like one of those cell phone connected cameras, these cameras are relatively cheap, and yeah, for less than $100, you can get a great camera that will be so useful for seeing what sort of animals are on your farm or homestead or even backyard. Gosh, like even as I think back to my days of living inside Washington, DC, I would say that like I would probably buy a trail camera like this now, knowing what I know now, and just watch what sort of like raccoons and rats and other things show up. But as per usual, I'm getting ADHD distracted. And so let me continue to talk to you guys about the thing that you're most interested in. Ooh, hey, would you look at that? So right here, you can see some coyote scat. That's, I don't know, not all that fresh, probably about 2 weeks old or so. Historically, I've actually had a den of coyotes that lived over here, but I get distracted yet again because the thing that happened the day that I came out here to dump the remains from bird butchering was that actually pretty much right here where I am right now, I was like passing through here with the tractor and I saw it right down there, kind of right near that pine tree, like right over there. I looked over and yes, right there was my missing trail camera. And again, just to give you a sense of perspective too, the trail camera is probably, I set it up about 100, 150 feet up that hill just back behind those trees, and somehow it had made its way down there. And so when I saw that, I figured, oh gosh, this definitely was vandals. Like my mind went almost immediately to this idea that somebody probably saw the trail camera, realized that they were caught on trail camera, decided to pull the trail camera down, take out the SD card and stash it somewhere in case there was a tracker on it. And then they left, and I will never know who did that, but clearly that was some human activity. But when I reached down and picked up the trail camera, and I opened it up, the SD card was still there. And you'll never believe what I actually saw on the trail camera. All right, you guys are not gonna believe this, but the SD card that was inside the trail camera that got lost, but then I found, well, I actually lost that SD card. And now as I'm editing this video, I can't find it to show you what was on the card. And I am so mad at myself. But yeah, just like imagine some footage of like some unknown animal like getting really close and nuzzling and like nudging the camera and like scraping against the camera. Like that's what most of the footage that was on that SD card was. So now back to the video. So do you guys have any idea what that was, what that animal was, what those animals were, the ones that actually took my trail camera and I can only assume pushed it all the way down this hill and over into there? Just so you guys can play this game at home, if you want to just hit the pause button and write your answer down in the comments, I'm very curious to see what you guys think it was. And oh, hey look, some more coyote scat. This one's fresh too. All right, enough time for writing your answer, pencils down. Here is what that was. So do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago when I had this problem where my neighbor's cattle kept breaking loose and they would either end up down in our neighborhood or out back here in my back pasture? And it turns out another neighbor's cattle had gotten loose. And so there were about, I don't know, probably 30 head of adult cattle, all just kind of roaming through and doing their thing, going right down our road. And so I immediately ran outside, and there were actually two of my other neighbors out there, not the ones who own the cattle, but just other neighbors. And so the three of us worked together and just got them up here and then got them in that back corner where they could be held until my neighbor could come pick them up and herd them back to his place. Well, that neighbor's farm If I was gonna just cut a straight line, it's probably like their pasture is about 75 yards, maybe 100 yards that away, like not far at all. And pretty much each time the cattle would break out and come through this area, I'm almost certain that they came through this way. Like when I was posting up my posted posters a couple of months ago, like I even saw like their manure pretty much right back there, and I saw spots where they'd trampled, and so they were clearly coming through here. And so yes, the animals that you were seeing on the trail camera were the cattle. And cattle, being the very curious creatures that they are, they actually saw the camera, got curious about it, started nosing it and knocking it and playing with it. And my theory is when the big herd of, I don't know, probably 40, 50 head of cattle came charging through there, somebody knocked it off the tree and broke the strap. And then they probably just collectively played soccer with it all the way down the hill until it ended up below that pine tree where it sat and rested for, I don't know, probably a good 2 months or so before I finally discovered it and opened up that SD card. That's pretty crazy, right? Good evening, Crew to Moo. How's everybody doing? Just want to stop here real quick and see if I have to move them. Looks like I got Macho Man guarding the gate. What's up, Macho Camacho? How's it going, guy? How are you doing, buddy? I think I'm gonna have to find a different way to enter in here. I don't want him to try to bust out. So let's turn off the power. Whenever I crawl in the fence this way, I feel like I'm Tita Santana going for a cup of coffee in the big time against Macho Man. So really what I'm looking for is to see how well they've grazed this down. They've mostly grazed it down. There's a little bit that they can do, not a ton. This is where we are into the pre-winter grazing season. Hey, Annabelle. So sadly, it was actually Annabelle who was the cow who lost her calf that I was talking about this summer. I don't have any treats for you. I know, you do that gesture when you're hoping that I have a treat. I don't have anything, nothing, see? But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna move them tonight. So I'm just looking at this. Like, they have a little bit more they can nibble before I send them down that way. The other thing you're gonna notice is, you can see little baby Elvis snacking away already on tomorrow's hay. I've started to stack out various hay bales like around the pasture so that they have food ready to go. The idea is for them not to have like all of their diet come right now from hay, but try to use the hay to slow down the grazing a little bit so that they can get something out of it. As you can see, Joey Ramone is snacking on the remains of yesterday's hay, or today's hay, I guess I should say. I will admit, I'm getting a little sad that your time is running short, but that is the way it goes on the farm. So yeah, I'll definitely let them stay here, let them finish clearing off this hay here. I don't want to leave too many big piles before I move them out. I try to strategically place the piles in places where I have some of the worst grazing. So like, for example, where this hay pile was, and you can see some of it here, this is just like really garbage weeds type stuff. What I will do is probably tomorrow or the next day after I move them, I'll come through here and sprinkle some grass seed just to add some extra stuff to grow in the mulch and improve the pastures that way. Yeah, there's gonna be some extra manure here, but that's not bad either. The idea is to like take this scrub brush. I'll probably actually, when they come back around, put another bale right here. Because the downside to feeding hay is, number one, it costs money, and number two, it requires like fuel and more effort on the part of the farmer. But the upside is you're essentially importing additional fertility into your farm, and so you might as well take advantage of it. And so that's what I'm gonna try to do. But yes, it seems like the cattle are in good shape for tonight. I will let them do their thing. The whole entire herd has actually adjusted well to the departure of the Charolais. Everybody seems very chill. I gotta admit, they're like even easier to handle right now without the cattle energy here. And so I still feel very good about the choice to sell those girls. And I actually know that they're actually quite happy in their brand new home. So that was kind of a win-win for everybody. Now we're gonna have to continue on down the hill because I wanna try to get chores done before it gets dark and makes it much harder to shoot this video.
But before we continue on with chores, let me just take a minute to talk to you about my brand new book, Dirt Rich Living. People with little or no farm experience going off to start some sort of farm or homestead. Even before I did exactly that with my life, I read probably a dozen like memoirs like that. Those types of books for me, back when I was a city dweller dreaming of the country life, they were like catnip for me.
You hear what I said there, girl?
And very much when I first started out here on my farm, the things I read and heard about and like thought about by way of reading those books very much set the foundation for my expectations of myself and the experience of being here on the farm. And the reality is, after about a year or so, I came to the conclusion that most of those books were completely full of crap. They spent so much time like romanticizing the farm life and what it was like. They didn't really break down the truths of how running a farm or a homestead actually works, and like how people actually make their ends meet, and the good stuff and the bad stuff. And they really did try to sell and market an image in a lot of those books. So when I started writing my book, Dirt Rich Living, which tells my story of yet another person from the city with little to no experience moving out to the country and starting a farm and failing but learning and then ultimately becoming successful, like, yeah, that's kind of true about what happened to me and my farm. But there was a lot of stuff that I learned in that process that I don't feel like I ever heard anybody else talking about. And so I wanted to make a book where I did exactly that and broke all of those things down and basically told the true honest story of the fact that, yeah, you think like moving out to a farm or homestead is going to save you and make your life better, but it's not. Because at the end of the day, even if you do have that giant chicken flock or those beef cows or those sheep or whatever, and you got all that land and you have your food forest, you're still you with all of your personal crap and problems. And changing your lifestyle and what you do isn't going to change who you are. The only way that ever happens is by really working on yourself. And so when I wrote this book, my intention was very much to try to demystify a lot of those things and kind of put an honest face to it and really bring the hard lessons learned and the real truths about farming and homesteading together for folks in one kind of handy and hopefully entertaining book. My book is available for pre-order right now, and if you really, really want to help me out, pre-ordering it like does magic apparently according to my publisher, and so if you could pre-order it, it would mean the world to me.
Stop waiting. Read The Dirt. Dirt Rich Living. Hardcover. $30. Pre-sale bonuses. Call now.
Well, well, well. If it isn't Bluey and Bingo. What's going on, girls? You with the boys snacking on some hay? Hey, Larnicus, how's it going, kid? So yeah, the girls don't really like the hay, I've noticed. I mean, they'll eat it a little bit. They much prefer the fresh stuff. The boys have been snacking on this cattle hay. So this was the bale I had dropped here to entice the cattle to come down from the hill the other day when I was selling them. Betty Rubble and Belle are up at the top of the hill, but they come down here pretty regularly and snack on this. I'm trying to get them used to the corral so I can use it as I get ready to separate and sort the cattle in a couple of weeks. But an added bonus, the goats get to snack on the hay as well. The girls were actually out free ranging today. Like, I've gotten into the habit of letting them come out and free ranging during the day. They've been very good about staying within certain boundaries that I set up that keep them from wandering like off the property. And they've been helping me just, you know, clear up areas around the barns, as well as like various fence lines and such. And so they've been doing a really good job of helping out. But this afternoon, Allison and I got texts from our neighbor, and she's like, I think you guys have some rogue goats eating your landscaping. And lo and behold, I came outside the house.
What are you two doing? Hey! Allison is gonna be so mad at you two. You're not supposed to be on the porch. What's going on here? No. Come on.
So yes, lo and behold, Bluey and Bingo are probably not going to be totally free ranging tomorrow, and I'll have to set up some poultry netting so they don't get into any more trouble. Come on, everybody, come on. Let's go, goats inside, come on. All goats, go to bed. All goats, go to bed. All goats, go to bed. Hang on. There you go, boys. All right, and the girls get some too. Hey, Telemachus, no head button, huh? The girls get their feed too. Don't be bullies, boys. I fed the girls already, so I'm just giving them a taste. Okay, Telly, come on, back up. Now we're gonna feed the dog food. Kibble. More kibble. Here, let's see if Abby can catch it. Oh, you missed it. She biffed it. And then this is not yogurt that I'm about to give them. It's actually broth and a little bit of meat. We'll give that a minute or two to marinate and not let Pablo Barncat eat it. You get out of here, Buster. Whoop. And I'll take this bucket of food for the birds. I will admit, ever since the big bird butcher, it has become significantly less chaotic out here when it comes to beef feeding time. All right, dirty birdies, here you go. First, we've got a supper for the Abby dog. Here you go, girl. Again. And of course we've got a supper for the Toby dog. Yeah, come on guy, let's go. Here you go, Toby dog. Dig in. Enjoy, my guy. You know, it's funny, after doing all the butchering and actually also when we get ready to process Joey Ramone, I might end up making a video about making my own dog food. I don't know if that'd be something you guys would want to see. If it is, let me know. But yes, that is the update here on the farm. It was not a camera thief. It was some rogue vandalizing cattle. Thanks for watching, everybody. Oh, and by the way, check out the book. Check out the book. I think you're gonna really like it.